Peace, everybody. Give everybody time to scroll on in. Got some myths to destroy today. A big myth. What's going on, everybody? I'm just giving people a chance to roll on in before I get started. See the topic of the day today. Peace, Montel. What's going on with you? Gonna destroy one of my favorite myths today. Protein myth is one of my favorite ones to destroy because it's one of the most common questions that I get as a vegan. Even when I was vegetarian, I was getting this question a lot. So I'm just giving everybody some time to come on in, join the party. Gonna do some teaching today. Peace. Oh man, most definitely. It's a lot of people that should be ready for this. A lot of misconceptions when it comes to protein. A lot of misconceptions. Like I got my note cards ready. Like this is when you start to do your teaching. I got my note cards ready. Like I'm ready to go in on this topic. Might want to take notes. So you might want to get your note card, you know, have you take notes. If you take notes on your phone, if you got to write them down, you might want to take some notes there because I'm gonna share some very crucial information that you might want to keep on you at all times. I'm gonna give it about 45 seconds to another minute before I start going in on a topic for the day. All right, come with your questions also too, because I'll be taking questions. I'll be answering a lot of questions in regards to this. I may not touch on everything, but I think I probably will because I've taken a lot of notes. Got my note card stacked. Got a couple books here, my references. But if you feel like I missed anything in this discussion, just hit me up with a question. What's going on, Louisiana? All right, so let me get started. See a question already. Is meat healthy at all? The answer to that would be no. Do not recommend eating any form of meat. It is acidic and it is not necessary. And I don't care if you are eating fish. I don't care if you are eating chicken. I don't care if you are eating turkey. No form of animal protein, no form of meat is beneficial for you nor necessary. You will do just fine without consuming meat. So to answer that question, Montel, meat is not healthy at all. It's acidic. It takes like a minimum of 5 hours for the animal protein to be processed in the system. So just think about what I said, a minimum of 5 hours. Consider how frequent we tend to eat as Americans. So if it takes a minimum of 5 hours for you to process one piece of animal protein, Just imagine if you are continuously eating animal protein throughout the day, clogging up your system, clogging it up. The plant-based types of meat, the non-GMO would be the best forms in regards to those meats. And those are decent sources of plant-based protein. When you are transitioning, you always want to go for the more authentic form of protein or forms of protein, like your beans, your hemp seeds, your nuts, your greens. You always want to go for that most authentic source in regards to meeting your protein requirements for the day. So with that being said, let me just dive right into the subject matter for the day, destroying the protein myth. One of the most annoying questions that I tend to get as a vegan, and I was even getting this when I was vegetarian, is where do you get your protein from? When I first transitioned to vegetarianism and then veganism, when I first got hit with that question, I really didn't know the answer, because once I came across information telling me to drop meat, I just did it. I didn't even think about it. So I really didn't do much research. But after doing years of research, that question, where do you get your protein from because you have eliminated animal-based protein, is an erroneous question. It shouldn't even be asked in 2020. It is so easy to get your protein from plant-based sources that it is ridiculous for people to believe and think that you cannot get all of your protein on a vegan or vegetarian diet or lifestyle. It is ridiculous. I don't have a bag of hemp seeds on me, but hemp seeds, they are very small seeds. 3 tablespoons of those are 10 grams of protein. 10 grams of the small hemp seeds, very small. And the recommended daily allowance of protein, it's a lot of controversy on that. So you got some people that recommend 46 grams for women, 56 grams for men. Then you have a method out here that's telling you to take your body weight and multiply by 0.36. Either way you slice it up, you can either take it as the 46 for the women or the 56 for the men, or you can take your body weight, multiply by 0.36, and that's supposed to be your recommended daily allowance of protein, meaning the protein you are supposed to eat per day. Even with that being said, let's just stick with the 46 to 56 range. Notice what I just said about hemp seeds. 3 tablespoons. 3 tablespoons of hemp seeds, 10 grams of protein. You go 6 grams there. You go 6 tablespoons of that, you got 20 grams. Let's look at lentils. You got 9 grams per serving of that. So that's a serving is about a half a cup. So you take a cup of those, you got 18. So I'm already at 38 just off of hemp seeds and lentils alone. Chickpeas, about 7 grams per serving, and that's a half a cup. So if I double that, I'm at 14. So I'm already at 52 just by eating 2 servings of chickpeas, lentils, and hemp seeds. I'm already at 52 grams of protein just off the strength of eating those 3 foods. So just imagine anything on top of that I eat that also has an element of protein in it just adds on to that. That is how simple and easy it is to get your recommended daily allowance of protein. I mean, it's simple to get it on a plant-based diet. How many days of the week do you recommend working out? It depends. If you are starting out, I recommend 3 days out of the week to start. Then once you build up your endurance and your strength, then you can go about 4 or 5 days a week. So let me just bring out the no cards here. Like I said, when it comes to being vegan, when it comes to being plant-based, a lot of people are concerned about us getting the recommended daily allowance of protein. Well, studies have been done on meat eaters. So the question you need to ask a meat eater, because based on the studies that I've come across, meat eaters have extremely poor nutritional labs, and they are deficient when it comes to vitamin D, folate, vitamin A, and even vitamin B12. So the next time you are a vegan, or if you're a vegetarian, the next time somebody comes and asks you about protein, you simply ask them where are they getting their vitamin D, the folate, vitamin A, and vitamin B12 from, because they lack when it comes to those particular vitamins and minerals. So instead of them being concerned about our protein, they need to be concerned about these vitamins and minerals that I mentioned. Now, let's go back. Let's double back a little bit. A lot of people talk about protein and don't even know the actual meaning of it, and don't even know the actual science behind protein. Protein comes from a Greek word that means of prime importance. So that's like the origin of protein. So now let's break down what proteins actually consist of. Now we start talking about amino acids. That key word, key phrase right there, amino acids. Let's focus on that, because that's essentially what your body needs, not necessarily the proteins. The amino acids come together to form the proteins. So as long as you are getting the proper amount of amino acids, you are good. And you can get all of the amino acids on a plant-based vegan diet, point blank, period. So you have what they call essential amino acids, which you have to get from your foods because your body cannot make those amino acids. So they say, even those 8 essential amino acids are prominent in plant-based foods. So as long as you are getting the proper amount of amino acids, protein is not an issue. And trust me, when you look at the list of plant-based sources of protein and just plant-based foods, period, you easily meet that requirement. So when we focus on protein, the focus should be on amino acids. And you can get all of those amino acids from plant-based sources. And I'm gonna even do you one better when talking about amino acids. It's like basically our body can recycle the amino acids that already exist inside of us at like a 70% rate. So when somebody asks you, like the funny thing is when somebody asks you where you're getting your protein from, you can actually say you're getting it from yourself, because your body can actually recycles the amino acids that already exist within you. So a lot of times you just meeting the protein requirements just based off of your body recycling the amino acids that's already inside of it. Oh yeah, the research from transitioning to veganism, it's crazy, but it's a lot of good books out there, man. I got books right here that I'm looking at that I'll go ahead and share with you. You probably can't see it. One of them is called, see if you can see that. Yeah, Education Over Medication. This is a pretty good book. So I definitely recommend getting that one. And let me grab my other ones. The China Study. This is a real good book. I'll probably start with this one. This is a real solid book in regards to just like the research. All the studies done in this book, just great. I mean, it destroys all myths. So I definitely start with this one. And the third one, Proteinaholic. This is also another good one. So those 3 books that I just showed you, cop all 3 of them and read them. Valuable and crucial to your research. Crucial. Now, it's so many different lanes that I can travel when talking about protein. One of the things too that a lot of people don't know is protein's association with diabetes. You heard that correctly. A lot of people, when they hear diabetes, they think of like sugar. They think of like carbs. They don't think of protein. Well, protein, the overconsumption of animal protein, is also linked to diabetes. Why? Because it increases your insulin levels. So that's another thing to think about. Just think about it and just do the knowledge to it. Just look around you. What do you see a lot of people suffering from? It's around you. Like diabetes is on a rise. Obesity is on a rise. And just think, just look at what people consume on a daily basis. Animal protein is high on that list. Animal protein definitely increases your insulin levels, which makes you more susceptible to diabetes, type 2 diabetes. And another thing too that excess animal protein is linked to is weight gain, obesity, just like I said. And the way that happens is the body cannot utilize excess protein. So what it does, it stores it as fat. So when the body has no purpose for the actual protein, it's going to store it as fat. You know, we get rid of a lot of protein through urine and sweat and things of that nature, but the excess animal protein is stored as fat. Yeah, definitely start with the China study. Definitely start with that. I mean, it's so many things that I just want to break down as far as like these no cards go. It's a lot of misinformation out here in regards to like plant-based living, vegan diets, and a lot of that, and a lot of those articles that you may see, a lot of that misinformation backed by powerful industries like the meat, dairy industry. Of course, they got to protect their investment. They don't want this type of information coming out. They don't want somebody like me telling you that you can easily meet your protein requirements without eating dairy, without eating animal protein, without eating meat. They do not want somebody such as myself saying that. But let me give you something that I found in the Proteinaholic book. It brought up a situation where the dairy industry actually held a meeting where they developed a goal to neutralize the science that dairy may be bad for the public. Just listen to what I said. I'm going to repeat that. The dairy industry held a meeting where they developed a goal to neutralize the science that dairy may be bad for the public. I mean, just let that let that marinate for a minute. The science was already out here showing and proving to you that dairy is destructive, that dairy is unnecessary, that dairy is toxic and acidic. The dairy industry knows this actual fact. They know this actual fact. They know this reality. So they had a meeting and they said, we need to neutralize this information out here. They didn't say we need to neutralize or we need to destroy the myth that dairy may be bad for the public. They didn't say we need to destroy the lie that dairy may be bad for the public. They said we need to neutralize the science. Say that they are already admitting to the truth in that actual science. So the dairy industry, once the science started coming out, the dairy industry started getting to work. They said we got to neutralize this science. So when you see a lot of articles out here that's talking about how beneficial it is for us to eat cheese and all these dairy products, trust me, they were backed by the dairy industry. They were forced to put that type of information out here because they are trying to neutralize the science out here that's showing and proving to you that dairy is just as bad as the meat, just as bad as animal protein, just as bad. Just as toxic, if not worse, than actual meat. So just listen to what I said, man. They had a meeting to neutralize the science that was showing and proving to you that dairy is bad for the public. There is no reason for you to be consuming meat. There's no reason for you to be consuming dairy. It's just no reason at all. So on top of that, too, it's a lot of popular fad diets out here. One of the diets that tends to get on my nerves, you got the keto diet, which if you go back to history, you see things like the Atkins diet. It's basically just an offshoot of that. Same thing, high protein, low carb, high medium fat type diet. Those diets are trash and they are not sustainable for the long run. When you study the healthiest populations on this planet, they consume more carbs than anything. When you study the healthiest populations on this planet, they do not consume high protein diets. Carbs take up about 65 to 75, sometimes even 80% of their diet. I'm talking about the healthiest populations on this planet, the longest lived populations on this planet. Carbs are the main staple of their diet and their lifestyle. So how all of a sudden, when you get to America, when you get to westernized world, they are pushing us to consume more protein than anything when we already got the science and examples of people who live long, healthy lives consuming carbs? How all of a sudden the carbs become the enemy? I answered that in regards to the meat and dairy industry. These are some powerful industries. So it only makes sense that a diet like the keto diet is very popular. And it's a lot of reasons as to why you would even see results on that type of diet in the first place. For the most part, when you start any diet, you are guaranteed to lose weight. Like they say, all diets work up to a point. Then you hit that wall, you plateau, and then you either regress or you just kind of maintain where you are at, inertia. You just kind of stand still and you stop making progress. The thing with the keto diet, the problem with the keto diet and why it's not sustainable is because your body, like the main fuel that your body thrives off of are carbs, glucose, glycogen. Your body needs carbs to run properly. Your body does not do well when it's running off fat. The first fuel source that your body strives to utilize are carbs. When carbs become the enemy is when you consume too many refined carbs. You know, your white breads, your pastas, your white rice, and things of that nature. Those are refined carbs, like candies, cookies, and all those things that we like to consume. Then you have your complex carbs, which are your fruits and your vegetables, your brown rice, and things of that nature, whole grains. Those are the carbs that you need to consume, that the body needs. Trust me, you will not gain an immense amount of weight if you are consuming greens, vegetables, whole grains, brown rice. Those are carbs, like sweet potatoes, things of that nature. Like, trust me, you will not become obese by consuming those foods. But no problem. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Yeah, I mean, the sabotage is real. Sabotage is real. Yeah, lactose, that's another thing. In regards to Black people, like most of us are lactose intolerant. We're not even designed to like consume dairy. Like by nature, like naturally. A lot of us are not even designed to consume it. That is letting you know something right off of the bat. Yeah, feed. Yeah, they got to keep us sick. They got to keep us unhealthy. It's money to be made in keeping us sick and unhealthy. So that's why you have diets like the keto diet that people out here vouching for as if it's healthy to not consume fruits. They even, in the book I got called Proteinaholic, they even did a study where they studied people who consume the natural forms of like glucose and fructose, and they found out that in those people, like less diabetes, they had less diabetes than people who consumed high amounts of animal protein. So when you think of diabetes and you think of sugar, you think of like things like glucose and fructose. Well, the study says otherwise. Oh, trust me, you can gain healthier weight going vegan. It's not even the thing of it is the reason why the reason why this protein conversation is a myth is because you will have to actually put in the work. You will literally have to starve yourself to not consume the proper amount of protein. Like the studies suggest that protein deficiency does not exist independent of like you being malnourished or caloric deficiency. So as long as you are getting your proper amount of calories, then by default, you will probably be getting the proper amount of protein. So with weight gain is just like a calorie gain. So if you're going vegan, plant-based, and your whole goal or objective is to gain healthy weight, then you just have to consume the proper amount of proteins, like whatever amount of, like not protein, but calories. Whatever the amount, say you consuming right now, say if you consuming 1,500 calories per day. So if you want to gain weight on the vegan diet, then you have to raise that probably by 500 to start off. So you need to start consuming 2,000 calories per day. And you can easily reach that on the vegan diet. Like I said, just with beans alone, man, chickpeas, black beans, kidney beans, lentils, split peas. I mean, hemp seeds. I could just keep going, pumpkin seeds. It's easy to reach that protein requirement. So when you want to gain a healthy weight, you want to focus on your calories. So just do inventory, see how many calories you consuming on a daily basis now, and whatever that is, you need to increase that number if you want to gain healthy weight on a plant-based diet or on a plant-based lifestyle. So when I was talking about, is there a such thing as vegan sweets, desserts? Yeah, you have. I mean, you have plenty of vegan sweets and desserts. I wouldn't go too crazy on them, but yeah, they exist out here. You can make your own. A lot of stores sell them. Pretty much anything you can think of that exists in the non-vegan world, we have it in the vegan world. You just don't want to become hooked on some of those foods. So now I'm gonna just double back down. I'm gonna double back down and I'm gonna go through my note cards to share all this proper information with you all, just the notes that I've taken. So you just want to pay attention. I'm gonna make sure I touched on everything. So again, when I'm going back to my book, Proteinaholic, I mean, they just destroyed the protein myth, and they talk a lot about animal protein and just how bad it is for us. And in one of the studies, they talked about the form of iron that is in meat or animal protein, which is heme iron, and how it was linked to like decreased longevity and premature aging. So just think about that. The iron found in meat, heme iron, is linked to decreased longevity and premature aging. Think about that. Last part of this first page of notes, you got meat is calorie dense. So what does that mean? A small volume contains a lot of calories. So we tend to overeat to feel full. How many times have you seen that amongst family members? How many times have you seen that amongst yourself? That's why it's so easy to become overweight and obese while consuming animal protein, because it's dense calorically speaking. So it's easy to overeat that meat. It's easy to overeat and overconsume that animal protein. It's just too easy. I talked about protein, like a high protein meal, increasing insulin. And then also in the notes, when I was talking about the keto diet, basically the high protein diet, when a lot of people go on it, they talk about the results that they get. A lot of that weight loss actually comes from water. A lot of people do not know that actual fact. So when a lot of people go on these keto diets and these high protein diets, a lot of the weight loss that they experience is just water weight. And I talked about carbs, and I talked about the sugar that comes from carbs and how that fuels, like that's the fuel that every cell in your body needs. So you should not run away from carbs. Carbs are not the enemy. You need that. Every cell in your body needs the fuel that comes from carbs. And then now this next point, you definitely want to write this down. But this next point, it has something to do with the people who go on these high protein diets and lose weight. So basically, when not consuming carbs, your body has to mobilize the glycogen to get sugar to fuel your cells. The glycogen is stored with water. So as you mobilize your glycogen, you also lose the water weight. So that explains how the people can go on these high protein diets, avoid carbs, lose the weight. This is the science as to the weight that they are losing. It's water weight. That is why a person that tends to go on that type of diet, they will hit that wall. They will hit that wall, either stay where they're at or they'll go back and gain that weight back plus some. And then also in the Proteinaholic book, he talked about basically natural carnivores and how we are not really designed to eat meat, and talked about the carnivore having naturally having acidic saliva and acidic urine, and how they can process cholesterol much more efficiently because they have very short intestinal tracts. So this is how carnivores, this is how they are designed. We are not designed like that. But that's another topic. A lot of people think we are designed to consume animals when really we are not. And I mean, the easy way to show and prove that is to go kill the animal yourself. How many people out there willing to go hunt that pig down and bite into that pig? All right, Frank Tufano, carnivore. That's not our natural diet. I mean, you can study history. That's not our natural diet. People that look like me, that is not how we naturally eat. That's not how we naturally ate. So not even about, I don't even have to get into that debate. You can study history. But you can do what you do. But that is definitely, I mean, you can even, I'm not religious by any stretch of the imagination, but you can even study holy books and they let you know that we should be eating the plants of the universe primarily. So, Frank, what about the meat eaters that lose teeth? What about the meat eaters that keep dying of cancer? What about the meat eaters that continually fill up the hospitals from heart disease? What about the meat eaters struggling from diabetes? What about all that? Because I know a lot of them. What about the meat eaters with consistent high blood pressure that they cannot seem to get down? What about those meat eaters? Are you going to focus on that? Are you going to mention that? I would like to see you talk about that. I would like to see you talk about the longevity of meat eaters. I would like to see you talk about the diseases that dominate meat eaters, because I know a lot of them. You can go into your hospital right now. You can see a lot of people that's sick, and you can see what they consume. And I guarantee you, animal protein will be high on that list, a list amongst dairy. Guarantee it. It's enough science out here to debunk all of that. Frank, again, Frank, you gotta do your research. You talking about cancer can be caused by so many factors. Do you realize what the studies say and show? The studies demonstrate that a person that consumes a diet of excess animal protein has a higher chance of developing cancer and other chronic diseases than a vegan. Like, that is what the study is showing. It is showing that if you consume animal protein, your chances are higher. It is not telling you that the animal protein is the cause. It is telling you that you have a higher chance of attaining the cancer than if you eliminated animal protein from your diet. That is what the studies are showing and demonstrating. So I'm not linking it to cancer. I'm telling you, you have a higher chance because of the toxic nature of that diet. Cancer cells thrive in that type of environment. And then also look at the form of meat that we tend to eat in the first place. If you want to double back down and go back in history, and you want to say that we naturally ate meat, which when we did, we ate it in small amounts, but look at the type of meat that was being eaten back in the day. Do you eat that same form of meat now? No. I can guarantee you we do not. And again, just doubling back my note cards. When I talked about the form of iron in meat, the heme iron, what that does is it causes oxidation, which that affects the pancreas's ability to secrete insulin. Malnourished and weak. Who is malnourished and weak, man? Do you know how many meat eaters I know that I can outlift that have brittle bones, man? I literally I played college football, man, and a dude that was on the team, all he consumed was like milk and meat, and this guy stayed injured. Stayed injured. Stay injured. His diet consists of meat and milk, and his bones were garbage. And I can tell you why his bones were garbage. Due to the toxic nature of his lifestyle. So when your diet is toxic like that, your body will strip the calcium from its bones to neutralize the toxic nature of that diet. So a person that's consuming too much animal protein will tend to have weak bones because the calcium is being stripped from the bones in order to neutralize the acid, the toxicity. And this is the thing too. This is the thing that I like. This is the thing that I like to get into about that as well. Because a lot of people like to go back to what we did in earlier days. It was a bunch of things that they did in earlier days that we do not do. So you telling me, like, for one, do I need to walk around butt naked outside and run around like they did back in the day? No. Like, we are supposed to advance and evolve. So veganism, in essence, is actually new. The original term, like what people did back in the day, they ate plant-based. Meaning 80, 90, 95% of what they ate was plants, or what they consumed were plant-based. If they did eat meat, like Frank is so hard like he's pushing, they did consume it. It was a very small staple of their diet, meaning it did not dominate their diet. So even the people in the earlier days, when they consumed meat, it was not a lot of it. For one, it was hard to get because you had to hunt the animal down yourself. So these people may have went days without consuming animal products, man, because they had to hunt the animal. So they may have went 3 or 4 days without a kill. So they living off of the plants. If every single person on this planet can eat meat, every single person on this planet can go vegan. For one, and I'm realistic. I know that that's not going to happen. So I don't really care about every single person on this planet going vegan. So you can miss me with the hypothetical. Right? They didn't have like the meat that they like literally. They had to kill the animal themselves. So of course, like, they were a lot more active back in the day. They were a lot more active back in the day. Frank, I like how you continue to ignore the fact that I know thousands, I know plenty of meat eaters that have been doing these same things. Like when I ate meat, I had cavities. When I ate meat, I had high blood pressure. When I ate meat, I had constant nosebleeds. When I ate meat, I had constant headaches. So again, what are you trying to prove? There is a certain way to go vegan. So just because someone says they are vegan doesn't mean they are doing it correctly. And you got to take under consideration that, let's say if I'm 30 and I'm deciding to go vegan at 30. Well, if I've been eating or consuming a toxic lifestyle for 29 years, like that's a lot of toxicity. That's a lot of stuff that's built inside of me that I've got to let go. So when you start to transition to eating clean, like that toxicity is going to flow through your blood. So you will experience a lot of issues when you are transitioning to plant-based, when you are transitioning to veganism. That's natural and that's normal because your body has adapted to eating garbage. Hence why people can have sudden heart attacks and die instantly. Like your body has become immune to that garbage to the point where it's going to even stop giving you signs that you need to change what you are doing. Your sign is going to be sudden heart attack and I'm dead. So you do not want to get to that point. You do not want to get to that point at all. And I'm gonna bring up another study that was done right here. The study, because again, I like to bring studies and I like to bring stats to the table. Study right here that when you substitute vegetable protein for animal protein in the study that was conducted, it was a 30% decrease in developing heart disease just by simply substituting vegetable protein for animal protein. Notice 30% decrease in developing heart disease. Focus on the number there, 30%. Now, it's another study. Replace carbs with red meat, 33% increase in heart disease. So just focus on these two studies that I'm bringing up here. When you substitute the vegetable protein for animal protein, it's a 30% decrease in developing heart disease. When you replace carbs with red meat, it's a 33% increase in developing heart disease. No, the study was not done on people that were smoking. Try it again, man. Again, you could get the book and do the research on your own. Proteinaholic by Garth Davis. I mean, you could do your research on your own. Like it's a lot of research out here. Trust me, a lot of research out here. And again, let me go back to the note cards, and I'm gonna ignore that. So we're gonna go back to the note cards because I want to get this information out here. Another study conducted, it showed that high animal protein, it raises cortisol and CRP, which is a C-reactive protein, and that is correlated with heart disease. So this is what a high animal protein diet is doing. Key word that Frank would be missing is high animal protein diet. And the reason why I highlight the word high is access. And the reason why I'm highlighting that is because as Americans, we tend to overconsume animal protein. We don't underconsume it. We consume animal protein at every meal. So high animal protein diets, which is not far-fetched in a westernized American world, is correlated with heart disease. Yeah, anytime you make that drastic change, like you have to give your body time. I mean, if I've been eating a certain way for 30 years, why would I expect everything to go correct after 1 year of changing that? Like, no, it's going to take time. It's going to take time. It's an investment. It's like compound interest. Like the later you make that transition, like the longer it may take for you to actually start reaping the benefits. It's not going to change overnight. So another thing I want to bring to the table in regards to, because I also talked about carbs, because a lot of people that are on the high protein diets, they are like envious and they fear carbs. Basically, what the science laid out is carbs really do not make you fat. And I can vouch for that. For one, it's a hormonal issue, and then it's a caloric issue. So basically, calories, eating too many calories is what leads to you becoming obese and overweight. It says here the body is very resistant to turning carbs to fat because we are designed to burn carbs. Yeah, when I initially transitioned, I went through a lot as far as like just getting sick and things of that nature. Now I feel the best I've ever felt. Yeah, Layla Africa is a very good. I got his book, African Holistic Health book. And again, just doubling back, talking about carbs in relation to the body. Says here we can hold 15 grams of carbs per kilogram of total body weight in the form of glycogen. They can add up to 500 additional grams before we even begin turning it into fat. And here I mentioned this earlier, basically in the notes, talking about how our bodies don't have a place to store excess protein, which is basically how that leads to it getting stored as fat. And here goes another study that was done. And this is a study that doesn't even involve people. It involves cancer cells and putting it in a culture dish. So basically, the study that was done that if you put cancer cells in a culture dish and expose them to what is called IGF-1, which is prominent in animal protein, if you expose the cancer cells and put them in a culture dish and expose them to the IGF-1, the cells will activate and they will grow. So this is independent of us studying people. This is letting you know that cancer cells thrive off of a key element of animal protein. They activate and they grow when they are exposed to this IGF-1 that exists prominently in animal protein. I haven't even got to the China study yet. I'm reading the whole entire book that you continue to ignore, that you just simply need to purchase. Proteinaholic. And you talk about China study being flawed. Can you explain to me why the dairy industry admittingly said we need to neutralize the science that dairy is bad for the public? Letting you know that dairy is bad, but we have to neutralize it to make it appear to be good. And then too, I'm just going right back down. Like I just told you that if you put the cancer cells in that culture dish and you expose them to IGF-1, which is prominent in animal protein, the cancer cells will activate, they will grow. Consuming high amounts of like saturated fats, which you will find in animal protein, along with just consuming animal protein in and of itself, has been linked to breast cancer. And then you also have lymphoma, which you have high rates of lymphoma in chicken eaters. People who consume chicken, you are more susceptible to developing lymphoma. And then I mentioned this earlier, how the body doesn't really need protein specifically. We need the amino acids, which are the building blocks of protein. And basically what I talked about with that, we can make every protein that our body needs from those like the raw materials that exist within the body, because we can recycle the amino acids. We can recycle the amino acids. So that's another thing that a lot of people don't know about. As this note says, like, we are very good recyclers of amino acids. There are no shortage of amino acids in our bodies. Like legit, when was the last time you heard of someone dying because of a protein deficiency? I can go down to like, we can go study the causes of death. And we can start with like heart disease. We could just focus on that. And I can find a lot of studies that are linking high animal protein consumption to heart disease. I can do the same thing to diabetes. I can do the same thing to high blood pressure. I can do the same thing to all forms of cancer. And back to our body being able to recycle amino acids. It was a study that was done some years ago that proved or showed that vegetarians ingest more probiotics and prebiotics, and their flora is better at recycling nitrogen to make new proteins. So just think about what I'm saying here. Like, we can recycle the amino acids that we need internally without having to overconsume animal protein and without having to consume protein at all. Frank, you were a vegan for 5 years and I was a meat eater for 20. So what are you saying? So our gut bacteria can make the so-called essential amino acids that they claim we need from foods. Our gut bacteria can make those amino acids and recirculate them into our system. So you can essentially get all the amino acids you need internally without you having to consume animal protein, without you having to consume any food to begin with, because your body can recycle the amino acids that already exist within it. And there is no shortage of these amino acids in your body. Because here go the last part of the notes. When we aren't eating enough protein, it's been found that we can when we're not eating enough protein. So even when you think you are lacking protein, you are really not. Because your body can recycle them at a 90% efficiency. Yeah, let's not even get into the endotoxins of meat, because I talked about that. When people say, oh, if you cook it, then you're killing the bacteria. Yeah, you're destroying some of the bacteria, not all of it. The endotoxins are not being destroyed. And that is how you become inflamed. That's inflammation. So even when you cook the animal products, you're not killing all the bacteria. The endotoxins are alive and well, and that's leading to inflammation. That's why you have a lot of people that consume a lot of animal protein, and they have things like gout, which I didn't even get into that yet. Nope, the endotoxins, man, you would have to pretty much burn the meat to probably get rid of the endotoxins, and you still may not get rid of them. Now, I want to dabble into when I brought up the RDA, the recommended daily allowance of protein. This is how they kind of came up with some of the science in regards to like my notes. So it went off of a study that demonstrated a man loses about 24 grams of protein per day. So you add extra 30% to that to cover 98% of the population. So that's like 31 grams. So that's how you kind of add that. And that's how they kind of got their 56 grams of protein for men. But even on top of that, like I said, it's conflicting information in regards to your RDA, in regards to protein. You can take your body weight, multiply by 0.36, and you come up with a number. So it varies. And with the last fact that I mentioned, so basically saying we need to eat 56 grams daily to make up for the 31 grams that we lose via urine, sweat, and things of that nature. So just consider that option, like you lose protein when you sweat and when you urinate, things of that nature. So that's just an important fact I wanted to throw out there, just so you all can know that. Now, I also want to continue. I want to continue to break down meat. So basically, it talks about meat breaking down in the body to purines and uric acid. Uric acid, that's crucial. The reason why that's crucial is because that is a precursor to gout, to developing gout. I know a lot of heavy meat eaters that have developed gout over the years. That is one of the main causes of gout. The uric acid that is formed from consuming too much animal protein, too much meat. One of the main causes of gout. Peace, born eternal Lord of law. And it's another myth that I want to break down relates to vitamin B12. A lot of people think vitamin B12 is exclusive to animals. They feel like the only way that you can naturally get vitamin B12 is by consuming meat. So they think vitamin B12 is something that comes with the consumption of animals. That is actually false. B12 is not made by animals. It is made by bacteria. So the reason why most meat eaters can get enough B12 in the first place is that meat is heavily laden with B12, producing bacteria. Not because the animal contains the vitamin, because it's laden with it. Frank, again, you missing my whole point here. Did you not hear the study where I said a lot of animal eaters who consume too much animal protein are deficient in vitamin B12? This is not something that's just solely exclusive to vegans. There are a plenty of meat eaters that are deficient in vitamin B12. This is not something that's exclusive to vegans. So we all, whether you are a meat eater or a vegan, we all can benefit from a B12 supplement, because meat eaters and vegans tend to be deficient in B12 because it is hard to come by. And I want to get to more of my notes when it talks about some vitamins and minerals here. Basically, potassium, magnesium, fiber, beta carotene, vitamin C. These are all crucial to bone health, which is what Frank was trying to talk about. But these are all crucial. All these vitamins and minerals that I named, potassium, magnesium, fiber, beta carotene, vitamin C, crucial to bone health. These vitamins and minerals are highly deficient for the most part in high protein diets. So I'm hoping y'all took notes. I mean, you can go back and you can just listen to some of the facts that I dropped, and the information that was presented in regards to this particular topic. I mean, it's just a lot of myths, man. If somebody comes to you and they are concerned about your protein intake, tell them they do not need to be concerned with that. They need to be concerned with where they're going to get vitamin D, folate, potassium. I mean, all of that, man. Beta carotene, vitamin C, like they need to be concerned with some vitamins and minerals that they tend to not consume because they are so focused on consuming meat. Protein, animal protein should not be the main staple of your regimen, of your lifestyle. It should not be. If you are consuming it, it should only be a very small portion of your regimen and your lifestyle. Very small. It is not necessary. It is not necessary at all. I mean, you can still, like I said, you can go back and you can study the healthiest populations. All of the healthiest populations say the same exact thing. They are all plant-based. Again, you can eliminate the vegan title. They are letting you know right now that I even got like the Blue Zone study when they talked about these healthy populations. And a lot of them said, like, we don't really need to eat meat. They just want to. And they have it every other day. It's not something that is a necessity. It's not something they need to eat. Yeah, flax seeds are crucial. And in regards to that, like as far as protein, like plant-based protein sources, like I said, hemp seeds, you got chickpeas, you got lentils, you got split peas, you got black beans. I mean, you got all like almonds, walnuts, cashews, all of those. If you don't have a peanut allergy, then peanut butter, like pumpkin seeds, spinach, broccoli, kale, like all of these are great sources of protein. I mean, it's so hard. You would literally have to try to be deficient in protein in order to be deficient in protein. Like literally, you would have to try hard. You would have to starve yourself. You would literally have to stop eating. And even still, it may be hard because, like I said, the body can recycle the amino acids that come together to form protein. And as long as you getting those amino acids in, which you can get from plant-based sources, you are good. Vitamin supplements, my take on those, like I said, the only ones that I truly suggest, vitamin B12, and depending on where you may live, vitamin D, because it's hard for a lot of people to get that sunlight, that natural sunlight. So if you live in an area where it's pretty cold half the year, then you may need to take a vitamin D supplement. So vitamin B12 and vitamin D, to me, those are the only supplements that you actually need to take because they are kind of tough to get from the foods that you consume. And that's vitamin B12. Both of those are not just exclusive to vegans. Like meat eaters, they should take a supplement on both of those as well. Yeah, man, I tend to get a lot of hate for like my stance, things of that nature. Like I've been vegan, man. I can still deadlift 300, 400 pounds. I can still squat 300, 400 pounds. I can still bench press 200, 300 pounds. And like people don't know me, but I'm not the biggest guy. So I can still do all of that. And I've been vegan for a minute. Haven't lost a step in regards to my strength. So it's funny when people have this preconceived notion of vegans being like frail and weak. A lot of them cannot hang with me in the gym. So that's always, I love working out with meat eaters. For one, the stamina is garbage. Stamina of a meat eater in regards to like fitness is typically garbage. I can run circles around most of them. Yeah, I've had a lot of people even see me operate in a gym, and that actually gave them the confirmation that they needed. Because a lot of people are contemplating going plant-based, but it's that fear. It's that fear. But when a lot of people see me work out and they see the weights that I lift and they see the size and they like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a try. Because they see I haven't lost a step. So for the most part, I serve as like confirmation for people to actually make that step. Because like I said, it's this preconceived notion that vegans are like frail, they not strong and all that type of stuff. So when people actually see me get down in a weight room, they come to me and be like, man, that I've been thinking about going vegan or vegetarian, man, but I ain't want to lose my strength. I ain't want to lose my size. And I thought that's what I was going to do. But seeing you, like, it seemed like you haven't lost a step. So that's that confirmation that they needed. Like, trust me, you don't have to be concerned with losing size and muscle and things of that nature. Like, when you first transition, you will lose weight, you will lose muscle, but that's natural. Like, your body is adapting and adjusting. And then you also got to experiment, because going vegan, I mean, you got to experiment with different meals. You're not used to consuming a diet like that. So you have to find foods that you enjoy. You have to find new meals and things like that you weren't used to. Man, I've been on the vegan and vegetarian train way before it became popular. So that doesn't make any sense. I let go of meat when I was like in college, like in 2009, 2010. So I've been living this lifestyle for the longest. I can credit Elijah Muhammad with that. I read How to Eat to Live Volume 2, I believe, and that was it for me. I didn't need to eat meat after that. Then I went back and forth between veganism and vegetarianism within this like 10-year span. So I go vegetarian, then I go vegan, then I go back vegetarian. But now it's full-blown vegan, and I'm looking into alkaline living now. Like, I'm looking into that. So even me going vegan, I'm still looking for ways to improve my overall quality of life. Like, I'm always determined. So it's people out here that, I mean, on their deathbed, and they not making any strides to change their life for the better. And here I am, I'm vegan. I still feel good. I'm still feeling like I can take my health to the next level. I'm still not satisfied. Like, you gotta be obsessed with your health. I don't understand why people take that for granted. Like, I value my life. Like, I want to be here and I want to function optimally while I'm here. I don't want to have a low quality of living, like, at all. Like, I don't want to experience that, man. I don't want to experience that at all. So I'm always striving for ways to elevate my health. So even now I feel good, but I know I can feel better. So I'm striving for that. So people hear me talk about veganism, and I'm still dissecting it. Like, I'm still breaking it down. It's still some things I'm striving to eliminate. Like, that's what we are supposed to do. Like, I don't even care about what our ancestors did. Like, we supposed to be better than our ancestors. Like, when you have children, you don't want your children to repeat what you did. You want them to be better than you. You want them to be improved versions of you. So we not supposed to go back and be like, well, we did that back in the day. No, we supposed to evolve. We supposed to evolve. So like the alkaline living, that's like my next step. It's not going to be totally Dr. Sebi type deal. Like I like to make stuff my own. So I like to take all my research and my information, and I like to kind of put my own spin on it. So I'm gonna let you all know what I come up with as far as like the lifestyle that I'm developing. But it's a lot of helpful information out here. It's a lot of ways to just elevate and take your health to that next level. It's a lot of different ways to do it. As they say, you know, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. It's like the more I learn, the more I realize it's more out here for me to learn. So I'm always striving to just improve. I'm always striving to learn more. I mean, and that's the crucial element that's what you need to do in regards to your health. Like you should always be striving to be the best version of yourself. So with that being said, my people, I didn't hit the hour mark. I didn't did some venting on protein. I didn't did some venting on meat. I didn't did some venting on carbs not being the enemy. I didn't did a lot of venting. So I guarantee you can play this back. You can grab some jewels. I hope you took some notes. I'm gonna probably be back on here next Saturday around the same time. Topic to be announced. I really don't know yet, but trust me, I'm gonna come back with the information and my sources because that's what I do. I don't just argue based off emotions. I do the actual knowledge to it. And with that being said, I'm gonna bring the 3 books back up that I recommend you get. Is more, but I recommend starting here. So you got Proteinaholic by Garth Davis. Recommend that. Then you got The China Study, T. Colin Campbell. Get that. And then you got Vegucation Over Medication by Dr. Bobby J. Price. These 3 books, recommend getting them. So with that being said, my people, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Saturday. Y'all have a peaceful day, a peaceful week. And I will be back next Saturday. Hope to see you all there. Peace.